It's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Dr. Kenneth T. Jackson. And we're going to be discussing his incredible book, From the Outhouse to the White House, A Fatherless Journey. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man, it's a lot of other places. I'm telling you, sit back, type it into a search bar, and be greeted with all of the locations. And furthermore, for communication purposes, man, you can reach out directly to Dr. Kenneth Jackson 2014 at gmail.com. Listen, before I go any further, though, I want to point out the fact that Dr. Jackson was brought to us by Citi of Books. So for writers out there listening in who have gone through their process and now you find yourself in a precarious position because you've worked tirelessly to create this masterpiece and now you need some assistance moving it. Head on over to citiofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is well equipped to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Dr. Jackson here on the line. The moment you start to do research on his book, you understand the conversation at hand. Now, we're only going to scratch the surface here today, so you're going to need to purchase the book to get it all. But I love where this book is coming from, and it's such an important discussion we're getting ready to have. Because people, what if the greatest lie that we ever tell our children is that the system is broken? Now follow me here, because depending on the community you come from, the experiences that you've had growing up, you've heard that, right? We talk constantly about the system that's in place, but what if it isn't broken at all? What if the system is actually exactly as it was designed? Now, okay, you see where I'm going with this, man. This is a conversation about the difference between surviving the traps and dismantling them for good. Now, there's nuance to this, okay? There's a lot of areas of gray. It's not so black and white, but you're going to learn from his journey, and hopefully it's going to inspire you to change your perception on your own. And maybe let's even go a step further. It's going to inspire you to have conversations with those around you to address it. Listen, this is a monumental topic, but one that is so crucial for all of us to be having. Like I mentioned, sit back and strap in. Here we go. Dr. Jackson, welcome to the network, and thank you for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and thanks for having me.
Listen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Your book is incredibly important. We're not only going to learn from your journey, but like I mentioned, hopefully it's going to allow others to shift their perception on their own journey and even start conversing with those around, right? Because I think bringing awareness to a particular topic is key, but maintaining that awareness, spreading that awareness, man, it's just as valuable. So thank you again for being with us to discuss it. Let's start off. This is a memoir. I know it's going to cover a lot of your background. So let's just jump right into the book, man. From the Outhouse to the White House, A Fatherless Journey. Tell us more about it.
From the Outhouse to the White House, A Fatherless Journey is more than an autobiography. It's a beacon of light for anyone who has ever been told that they couldn't, shouldn't, or wouldn't make it. I, on the other hand, prove that no obstacle is greater than the human spirit, ignited by faith. My book will inspire the young, challenge the complacent, awaken every reader to the transformative power of grace and grit.
Dr. Jackson, thank you very much for that. Let's now move into inspiration, man. I have a lot of questions that I want to go to, but let's stick here with the foundation. So we know about the book, why it's important. But listen, man, you could have just told people this story. You could have verbally had conversations. You didn't have to write the book and publicize it for the world. What inspired you to do that?
I had to write this book because it was therapeutic for me. See, I had carried much of my pain growing up for years, and I wanted my colleagues, students, extended family, and friends to know my story. They only looked at my successes, and I wanted them to know my failures. So writing this book was very therapeutic for me, and I wanted them to understand the many obstacles that I had to overcome to get to this point in life.
Dr. Jackson, I think you're hitting on something that is a crucial component and something that gets to the heart of a very important conversation, man. I mentioned before bringing awareness to certain situations is key, but this is nuanced. Now, as a Black man myself, like when I started this conversation and we started doing research in preparation for today's conversation, that quote unquote system is nothing new to myself or communities in which I was raised in and a lot of people that have similar backgrounds. But I also understand that not everybody relates to that. Not everybody else has had that type of environment. So there's an interesting duality here that is being constructed when we talk about that system. There's a big responsibility. And I think here in America, man, we can find a number of examples where we're divided amongst communities. People within a certain community, they'll hear a notion as this and they're like, yeah, I get that. I understand it. I've experienced it. But there's also the understanding that not everybody has had to deal with that, right? So let's go there next. For someone who has never felt targeted by that system, how do you explain its true purpose to them in a way that helps move them away from defensiveness to understanding?
As a lifelong educator, I've witnessed firsthand how the system works against Black boys in particular.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that the Black boys have the highest dropout rate, the highest referral rate, the lowest graduation rate, the highest special ed rate, the lowest test scores, the highest suspension rate, the highest incarceration rate, and the highest death rate. If you could compare an animal today in this country, that animal would be extinction. That animal would be placed endangered. It would be placed on the endangered species list. And as Black boys, when you compare Black boys to those animals, who's caring about these Black boys because they are dying at an alarming rate?
People, I'm telling you, like I mentioned, this is a discussion that runs deep. It's a discussion that we couldn't possibly get through in a 20-minute discussion, right? This is something that you need to head on over and purchase your copies. Remember, it's entitled From the Outhouse to the White House, A Fatherless Journey by Dr. Kenneth T. Jackson. It's a book that needs to be added to your shelf, and it's a conversation that needs to start. I want to, in a similar vein to my previous question, in terms of analyzing this system that's in place and trying to articulate that system to those that are outside of it, that can't necessarily see how intricately stitched into the fabric of our society this system is. You know, it's interesting, Dr. Jackson, I remember for my thesis in graduate school, I wrote something along these lines. Now, my background is in filmmaking. So when I was talking about this quote unquote system and a lot of the prejudices that we see, my thesis was specifically geared towards the filmmaking industry and what we were seeing there. But it all overlaps, right? I mean, it's you know, there's a diabolically genius system that's been put in place where, again, it's almost indecipherable. It's almost invisible to a lot of people. And that's what I mean by it being so intricately stitched into the fabric of our society. Let's continue to analyze this now, not from the perspective of outsiders, from the people that are found victims of this system. Another interesting duality here is, like, we look at your success story and we want to be able to match that. We want to be able to utilize that as a roadmap. But I think something that a lot of people can fall prey to when they are recognizing the system that's in place is there could almost be a victim state of mind that can be developed. So a very broad question, almost unfair to ask you, because of course it's not a one size fits all. How do we have these conversations? How do we recognize the system that's in place so that we can dismantle it and overcome it without developing that victim state of mind?
My story paints a portrait of a life that refused to be defined by the things in place.
Yeah.
I wrote this book because an audience that I want to reach is the educational system, social services, the foster care system, parents, kids of all ages, state and local government, because the system, they say, is broken, but the system is working to perfection. There's no reason these kids are failing through the cracks. Someone has to know that these kids are not on a level playing field. Mm-hmm. And as an educator from junior high to high school, assistant principal, and retired superintendent, I have seen it at every level. I have seen the injustices at every level. So I say in my book, I wanted everyone to understand that when you say the system is broken, I disagree. I think the system is working to perfection. As a 10th grader going to high school, my high school was 10 through 12. When I got out of junior high, there was 15 black boys that lived in my neighborhood. When we got into 10th grade, after the 10th grade, I was walking to school by myself.
Wow.
14 of my friends had disappeared into the juvenile system, dropped out of school, or in a school for bad kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. The fact I'm trying to make is the fact that how could 14 boys disappear in my neighborhood in one school year? There's a problem there.
Yeah.
I went into education to fix that problem. And I had tons of roadblocks in front of me because it was okay to take care of those kids that had the support system. But who took care of those kids that didn't have that support system, who didn't have the parents that was coming to open house or parent-teacher conference because they had to work just to pay the rent, just to keep the lights on, just to keep the kids clothed? What about those parents attending IEPCs without the parents there? I challenge my staff. No IEP will be held without the parents here and present. And if I have to go and get them from their job, I will do that because these kids need representation, proper representation, just like you would want for your own child. I would tell my teachers, once that kid get in your classroom, treat that child as if it was yours. And that child will give you all of themselves. But these kids today know when you are plastic, they know when you don't care, and they know when you don't want them to be successful.
I love what you just said. And so much of it reminds me of that old adage where when we're talking about rearing children, we always hear the notion of it takes a village to raise a child. Man,
Absolutely.
I love that notion, but why does it have to stop with rearing children? That village.
Absolutely.
Man, that village you need when it comes to raising small children, when it comes to raising teenagers, when it comes to raising adults. Because first and foremost, education never stops, right? You should always be learning. You should always be striving for something else. But you also should always be depending on that village, man.
Absolutely. Listen, as elementary school, it's 70 to 80% participation from parents.
Yeah.
When those kids in junior high, that drops dramatically, 15 to 20%. When a kid gets in high school, parent participation drops all the way down to 5% or less.
Wow.
Now, those kids that have parents that are involved in their education, well, sure, you'll see them at open house, parent-teacher conferences. But our kids who really need parental involvement, they will never see them kids and parents. Those parents disappear until that child is playing sports. They'll come to a sporting event, but not sitting down with a counselor and making decisions for that child's educational upbringing. Mm-hmm. The statistics tell you all over the world, the more involved parents are with their children's education, it gives those kids a springboard in life.
Yeah. You know, Dr. Jackson, that's why I say the conversation runs deep, man. But I mentioned before that the system that's in place is a diabolically genius one, right? Like I'm not trying to give it any credit, but let's call a spade a spade. It is diabolical, but it is genius in how it's been manufactured because it disrupts things from so many areas. And that's the reason why the conversation is layered. It's not simply about parents attending these events because, listen, there are some parents that just choose not to, but there are a lot that unfortunately can't given circumstances. And that's why the conversation runs deep. People, trust me,
I really want to stay here and talk to Dr. Jackson for hours. I feel like, man, there's a lot that we could do right now, okay? But I know that the journey is just beginning. So what I'm going to do instead is instruct you once again, head on over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble, pick up copies of From the Outhouse to the White House, A Fatherless Journey by Dr. Kenneth T. Jackson. This is a game changer that you want to add to your shelf. And it's interesting to me, man, like we started this conversation talking about the system, but we're ending it talking about relationships. And isn't that's so crucial, right? Because if one person had looked the other way, his story might have ended very differently. So today's challenge is simple. First and foremost, today's challenges, let's say that, because there's multiple. First and foremost, head on over, purchase your copies. Let's not skip that. Secondly, look at your own sphere of influence and ask yourself whose hand you could be. Who can you help move forward? Because, listen, man, we all need a helping hand. We talked about that village a little while ago. It is so crucial to understand that. So until next time, don't just consume stories. Change them. And it starts with this one, man. Head on over and do your part. Dr. Jackson, this has been an absolute honor. I really do mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for having me.